Hello and welcome. In this video we are going to explore how to use the console within the Chrome Developer Tools. If you haven't got the Chrome Developer Tools opened already, the fastest way to access the dedicated console, if you're on a Windows, you press Ctrl+Shift+J. If you're on a Mac, you press Command-Option+J. That will take you directly to the console panel. We're going to use our sample project files for this lecture. So I'm just going to double click on it and click to open up the index.html file. So to access the console, I'm going to do Ctrl+Shift+J because I'm on a window. You can see it's taking me straight to the console. You can see the console underlined there, which indicates I am in the console panel. You can also have the console opened as a drawer if you don't want to open a dedicated panel. For example, you could click on this little dots here, which is customize and control option, and you can click on this show console drawer. And what that will do, it will show the console as well as, so if you click on the other tabs now, it lets you work on other panels as well as the console. All right, so I can come here and I'll still have the console open. I can come here, I'll still have the console open. So regardless of what panel I go to, I will have the console open in the drawer. But if you don't want the console to open as a drawer, you can just go back and just click hide console drawer and just click on the dedicated console, and then you have access just to the console. And this, you can resize the window as well, the developer tools window, so it's resizable. It depending on how much of your current page, the rendered page, you want to be displayed or visible. So this is movable. The console is very, very important. You can use the console to check for messages, error messages. It displays various types of messages. You can use it as a command line tool. You can write JavaScript directly in the console and you can see the output, and you can use it to log all kinds of information. So the console is extremely useful. You can also configure the console. So by default, if you look here, there's a little angle here, triangle. So if I expand it, these are the various configuration options. So by default, the console will show all these warnings. So if you want the console to only show error messages, so you can click on that and click on that, and it will show errors only. So whenever you have errors in your application, the errors will be displayed. But if you want the console to show both errors, warning, and so on, you just click on default and it will show the lot. So I am going to go into the JavaScript file. I'm going to deliberately introduce an error, and then we'll see how the page is rendered with that error. So I'm opening up my text editor, which is Atom, and I'm going to open up the project file inside the text editor. So this is a project file. So I've now opened it in the text editor to make it easy to edit. So I'll click on my script.js, which is the JavaScript file, and I'm going to deliberately introduce an error. So what I'm going to do, I am going to put where it says print document, print this, I'm going to just introduce something there. I've added an extra E, so I don't expect this to work. So I'll save that, save what I've done, launch the project again. So if I come here and go index.html, if I type something now, so I type a word, I say hello world and click calculate, notice it hasn't given me a return value. It hasn't calculated it. So looking at this page, I can't tell where the error is or what's going on. All I know is that it's not doing that. However, if I open my developer tool, so I'll do Ctrl+Shift+J, I will immediately, you can see here within the console, I can see the errors. It's telling me here that I've got an error here. It tells me exactly in my JavaScript file on line 9. It's telling me I've got an error. So all I need to do is go to my script and look at line 9. So they are spot on there. Look at line 9. I come here, I can spot the error. You can see it flashing. I just come here, change that, save, and if I refresh the page, the error, you can see the error has now disappeared. So it's very useful to capture errors. So anytime you have problems with your application, your web application, you're running it and you can't see any errors on the screen, just go into the developer tools, go into the console. It will show you any errors or warnings that has been displayed. You can also use the console to write single statement JavaScript. JavaScript code are referred to as statements, so each line is a statement. So I can come here and just type a simple statement to say alert, and inside there I can just say hello. Okay, and I'll close that, and if I run that, it will give me an alert box. So I'm running JavaScript directly from the console. So you can do all kinds of things. You can define variables, execute them within the console, so you can use it as a proper command line tool. So I'm going to log a message to the console, so I can just do console.log, and then in parentheses I'll specify what I'm trying to log to the console. I can say show me the money. Okay, and I'll close that and press enter. You can see it's logged the message to the console. So you can log all kinds of messages to the console. If you are, for example, you're creating an app and you want to see certain outputs, you can log those outputs to the console. Obviously, in a production environment, you may not want to log you wouldn't want to log everything to the console because you won't be there. But for testing purposes, it's good. You can log a lot of things to the console and see how it turns out. That way you can use that to structure your application and make improvements to it. So you can do things like you can create a loop inside the console and run through the loop and see how the loop will behave. You can create a mathematical calculation and see the output and see how it behaves within the console. So you can test different values within the console. Very, very important. You can also save. For example, you can save all the stuff you've done on the console. Just right click and there's an option to save as. So you got an option to save. So it gives you option to save as. You can specify how you want to save the files from the console. You can also clear the console. If you want to clear everything on the console, just right click and click on clear console. You can also filter if there are options for you to filter. So different sub menu here you can apply to the console. Console is your friend when you are developing. You can catch errors. You can use the console as a command line utility, and you can log messages to the console. So the console is your friend. So that's it for this lecture on the console, on using the console within the developer tools. So anytime you've got an application that is not working the way it should work, go to the console and any error messages or warning should be displayed there. Thank you. Bye for now.